On my way home from work, I got struck by lightning. But I didn't die. Instead, I got a superpower. I can make anyone named Kevin fall in love with me. This was a total bummer, because the guy I have a crush on is named Evan Brown. The next day, my best friend came to me with a weird look on her face. I got a superpower, but it's completely useless. I sighed. How useless could it be? She sighed too. I can change anyone's name to Kevin. After Maya said that, I just froze. Holy crap. You know what this is? Separately, we're useless. Together, we're unstoppable. I grabbed her hand. Actually, I got a superpower too. What is it? I can make anyone named Kevin fall in love with me. Maya stared at me, stunned. A few seconds later, she squeezed my hand back, so excited she was practically stuttering. Oh my God. Lucy. This is it. Our time has come. I'm gonna change. Evan Brown. Jeff Bezos. Changed Jeff Bezos's name, Maya finished, giving me a look of pure disdain. Are you serious? Still crushing on Evan? Aim for someone useful. Our high school's prom queen already married some rich guy 10+ years older than her. I knew she was right, but it still felt like a shame. Evan Brown was my dream guy, the one I'd been secretly crushing on since high school. Now we'd both graduated from college, and my crush hadn't gotten me anywhere. Maya had lectured me more than once. If you want to get anywhere with him, you at least have to show a little interest. I was shocked. Is my username not obvious enough? Maya was shocked too. Your username is Melody. What on earth does that have to do with Evan Brown? I explained, his last name is Brown. A melody is a song. Get it? The thought made me hesitate. Maybe it's too obvious? Evan's so smart, he's probably figured it out. Maya's mouth opened and closed. Finally, she just patted me on the shoulder. Trust me, just have Jeff Bezos fall in love with you. Not so fast, I told her. First, let's check the Forbes list. After some careful planning, we decided to fly straight to France and have the 74-year-old billionaire, Arnaud, change his name to Kevin. When my lunch break ended, I went back to the office to request time off. I happened to run into Evan in the elevator. I blinked. Mr. Brown. Evan glanced at my request form and frowned slightly. Taking time off? I nodded. He looked at the giant, scrawled 30 days, and his mouth twitched. A month? Is something wrong? I cleared my throat. Yeah, something came up. Evan's brow furrowed even more. Is it serious? Personal leave or sick leave? I thought for a moment. Marriage leave. Damn it, Evan had HR cancel my time off request. I was grinding my teeth when I called Maya. He's trying to cut off my path to riches. Maya considered it. Is it possible he's just jealous? Jealous? Ever since high school, Evan had always been into the quiet, graceful type, like the prom queen. I was the complete opposite. What would he possibly be jealous about? I didn't buy it for a second. He probably just thinks 30 days is too long and that I should be dedicating myself to the company. With that in mind, I submitted a new request for 7 days. Rejected again. 5 days. Rejected. 3 days. Rejected. 1 day has to be fine, right? Still rejected. I cursed under my breath, ran back to my desk, and furiously typed on my keyboard. 3 minutes later, a fresh resignation letter was ready. It was only 7 words long. So many billionaires, so little time. I sent the resignation letter to Evan's email. Less than 5 minutes later, my desk phone rang. On the other end, Evan's voice was cold and heavy. Lucy, get in my office. Now. Inside the CEO's office, Evan's handsome face was so dark it looked like it was about to rain. Lucy. He stared at me, a smile not reaching his eyes. Which billionaire are you marrying? Why don't you let me in on it? I'd love to send a wedding gift, maybe get an invitation. I thought for a second. Kevin. Evan was silent for a few seconds. Forgive my ignorance, but I can't seem to recall any multi-billionaire tycoons by that name. I was honest. If you approve my resignation today, there will be one tomorrow. Evan looked like he wanted to curse. Lucy, if you're going to lie, at least come up with a better reason. We've known each other for years. How do I not know you have someone you can marry? Am I not the only single, age-appropriate man in your life? But I don't want you to change your name to Kevin. The thought of calling that handsome face Kevin was just heartbreaking. Evan was about to say something else when his secretary knocked. Mr. Brown, Ms. Grant is downstairs. My lips tightened. I knew who Ms. Grant was. Christina Grant. She was 2 years younger than Evan, and rumor had it their families were a perfect match. They were practically engaged and even lived together. Evan stood up and waved a hand at me. You can go. I'm not against you taking a few days off to rest, but don't use such a ridiculous excuse. I frowned, wanting to tell him I was serious about quitting. My phone buzzed. It was Maya. Lucy, I messed up. She said, her voice anxious and full of guilt. I think I just accidentally used my superpower and changed someone's name to Kevin. What? My heart leaped into my throat. Who was it? Man or woman? Are they hot? Maya sounded like she was about to cry. It's a pretty handsome older guy. But the good news is, he also looks super rich. I relaxed a little. Do you know what his name was before? What does he do? Maya clicked her tongue. Right before I changed his name, I think I heard someone call him chairman. Why don't you just come downstairs? I'm right outside your office building. Wait a minute. Downstairs from my office, a rich, handsome older guy, and people call him chairman. Could that be Evan's dad? Evan's dad cannot be named Kevin. I'm trying to join this family, not break it up. I rushed to the elevator and went downstairs. As the doors opened on the first floor, the private CEO elevator across the hall opened too. Evan and I made eye contact for a second. He looked annoyed. Skipping out of work right in front of me, huh? Before I could say anything, I saw Maya frantically waving at me from the lobby. Behind her, a handsome older man was starting to walk over. No time to explain. I shot out of the elevator and slammed straight into Evan, who was just about to step out of his, knocking him back inside. What the hell? I nearly knocked the wind out of him. Lucy, are you insane? I clamped a hand over his mouth while my other hand frantically mashed the elevator buttons. The doors slid shut just as the older man yelled, "Hey, hey, hey." The elevator slowly ascended. Inside, the atmosphere was tense. Evan looked down at me, his expression complicated. I cleared my throat and pulled my hands back. Sorry, I lost my balance. You lost your balance and lunged for my mouth? Evan clearly didn't believe me. He narrowed his eyes. You've been acting weird ever since lunch break. What's going on? I hesitated, not sure if I should tell him. Sensing my dilemma, Evan softened his tone. We're old classmates, you know. Whatever it is, I can help. He sounded sincere, his gaze earnest. He really meant it. After a few seconds of silence, I patted his shoulder. Okay, I'll tell you, but you can't freak out or tell anyone. Evan nodded. Okay. What is it? I took a deep breath and said seriously, your dad might be about to fall in love with me. After I spoke, the elevator went quiet. The second we got out and had cell service again, Evan immediately started calling a doctor to get me a psych evaluation. He was the one who insisted on knowing, and now that he knows, he thinks I'm crazy. How is that fair? Lucy, Evan said, looking quite serious, besides these delusions, are you experiencing any other symptoms? I glared at him. If I really were crazy, the first person I'd take out is my unethical boss who won't approve my vacation. Evan was about to say more, but I cut him off. Didn't you say Christina was waiting for you downstairs? Aren't you going to go meet her? Evan waved his hand dismissively. My dad's here, he can pick her up. Hearing that made my heart ache with a little bit of envy. Their relationship already had parental approval. I sighed, glad I hadn't asked Maya to change Evan's name to Kevin. That would have ruined a perfectly good relationship. Why are you sighing? Are you sure you're okay? Evan touched my forehead. You don't have a fever. He looked down at me, his eyes filled with an unexplainable anxiety. Lucy, is there something you can't tell me? I really can help. I shook my head, just as earnestly. I'm fine, really. But your dad might not be. He's the one with the problem. Evan looked confused. What could be wrong with my dad? He's as strong as an ox. His phone rang, cutting him off. Evan glanced at the screen with a slight frown before answering. Christina? What? Whatever she said made Evan's eyes go wide, a comical expression on his handsome face. Okay, I'll be right there. What's wrong? I asked instinctively. Evan's eyebrows were knitted so tightly you could have caught a fly in them. I don't know what's gotten into my dad, but he's insisting on going to the police station to change his name to Kevin. By the time I followed Evan to the police station, it was already getting dark. The moment I walked in, someone grabbed me. I looked closer and saw it was Maya. What are you doing here? I asked, surprised. Maya shushed me and whispered conspiratorially, well, I have to keep an eye on Kevin, don't I? That reminded me. How did you get him to change his name, anyway? Maya scratched her head. I was waiting for you downstairs and accidentally bumped into the old guy. His bodyguard was a real jerk about it, asking me, do you have any idea who you just bumped into? She got angry all over again, putting her hands on her hips and reenacting the scene for me. I was furious. That's so aggressive. I already apologized, and it wasn't even on purpose. So I pointed at the guy and said, unless his name is Kevin, I don't give a damn who he is. Just as she finished, a tall, elegant figure rounded the corner, her footsteps perfectly timed to the name Kevin as she came face to face with me. It was Christina Grant. I blinked. Before I could even say her name, she suddenly froze in place, as if she'd been bewitched. What was happening? Beside me, Maya let out a sharp gasp. Oh crap, not again. Huh? I said. The next second, Christina's head snapped up to look at me, her gaze as intense as a wolf spotting a chicken. Maya shoved me desperately. Run. No, it's too late, cover your face. Huh? In the time it took me to process, Christina had already rushed over, grabbing my hand and speaking in a deeply affectionate tone, marry me, darling? Me, huh? It was chaos. Total chaos. I left Maya to fend off Christina and bolted, not stopping until I was safely outside the police station, where I finally caught my breath. My phone vibrated. It was Evan. Where did you run off to? I thought I was taking you home. I laughed nervously. I'm fine. How's your dad? Evan sighed. We managed to talk him down for now, but then Christina started saying Kevin is a great name. I seriously think they both ate some bad mushrooms. Oh, by the way, she said she wants to find you. Where are you? I was so nervous I started to stutter. Oh, my grandma gave birth to my dad, so I have to go to the hospital to see if it's a boy or a girl. Gotta go, bye. At this point, there was no way I could go back to work. The next day was Saturday, so I snuck into the empty office to grab my personal things and leave my handwritten resignation letter in the CEO's office. Evan Brown, I said with a long sigh in the empty room. This is where our story ends. Why? Ack. A voice from behind me made me jump so hard I nearly tripped over my own feet. Careful. Evan caught me just in time, frowning. After all these years, you're still so clumsy. His slightly scolding tone made my lips press together. I felt a strange pang of sadness. The first time I met Evan was in the high school gym equipment room. I was getting a badminton racket and accidentally bumped a storage rack. Just as the whole thing was about to topple over, 17-year-old Evan rushed in and shielded me from the sharp corners. His own arm got cut, requiring 12 stitches, and he still has the scar. And this was the wonderful Evan whose family and love life I had almost completely destroyed. The thought snuffed out my sadness. I subtly pulled away from his hand and said seriously, "Mr. Brown, my resignation letter is on your desk. I'll be leaving the country soon." Evan froze, his deep eyes filling with confusion and anxiety. "Why? Lucy, what's going on? Why can't you tell me?" His grip on my arm tightened, and I instinctively tried to pull away, but he held on firmer. He stared at me, his gaze serious and profound. "Just give me one good reason, one that I can accept, and I will never interfere with your decisions again." I sighed in defeat. "How's this for a reason? I'm about to lose you, your dad and your girlfriend." Evan didn't understand. "What?" I took a deep breath and patted his shoulder sympathetically. "It means your girlfriend, Christina, has fallen in love with me too." Evan's eyes widened in utter shock. "Christina? Christina's my sister." "What girlfriend?" Hearing that, I was the one who was shocked. "Sister? Her last name is Grant and yours is Brown. Are you two related by blood?" "No, not by blood," Evan said with a shrug. I was about to call him out, but then he added, "My parents adopted Christina. She's like a real sister to me." "Adopted?" I looked at him suspiciously. "Are you sure Christina doesn't have a crush on you?" Evan didn't answer right away. He studied my expression for a few seconds, then a knowing smile spread across his face. "Lucy, are you quitting because you're bothered by my relationship with Christina?" I was at a loss for words. It wasn't entirely wrong, but it wasn't exactly right either. Seeing my silence, Evan's smile widened as he pulled me toward the door. "Where are we going?" I struggled. Evan tightened his grip, his voice cheerful. "To prove it to you." "Prove it?" I paused, then realized what he meant and started struggling even more. No, you don't have to. I believe you. I believe you're just good, platonic siblings." "Nope," Evan said, pulling me out of the office and pressing the elevator button. He smirked. "If it's gotten to the point where my Lucy is so upset she has to quit, I need to clear things up properly. Good thing Christina is here today, she was working overtime too. Listen to me." Hearing that, I pulled back even harder. "This isn't as simple as you think. It's Mag." Ding. The elevator arrived. The doors opened, and the person standing inside looked right at us. It was Christina. I stared at her, noticing that the dress she was wearing was the exact same style as the one I wore yesterday. "Christina, you're just in time. Come explain to Lucy that we're..." "Lucy." Christina cut Evan off mid-sentence. I had a terrible feeling about this. I tried to run, but it was too late. Christina burst out of the elevator and planted a kiss right on my cheek. The world went silent. Honestly, I have never been so terrified of being kissed by a beautiful woman in my life. Evan, stunned for a second, yanked me behind him and started frantically wiping my face. "What are you doing? What is this? Just because you girls are close, you can just kiss each other whenever you want?" I wanted to cry. "We're not close. She actually likes me. She's after my body." Evan gave me a look that said, "Are you okay? Christina has had more boyfriends than she can count on two hands. Why would she suddenly be into girls?" I tried my best to explain. "What's happening is beyond your comprehension. This is magic." Magic. As I was about to call Maya for backup, Christina held up the drinks in her hand. Bro, your iced Americano, she said, tossing one to Evan before turning to me. Lucy, darling, you have to try this malted snow brew. It's sweet with a hint of bitterness, so silky smooth, it's my absolute fave. Get that away from her. Evan mercilessly snatched the drink away. She's allergic to caffeine. Bro. Christina glared at him before rushing off to the break room to warm up some milk for me. See? I told you she couldn't possibly like you, Evan said, taking a sip of the cold brew himself. She doesn't even know what you're allergic to. I know more than she does. I narrowed my eyes at him. How do you know that? I never told you. I guessed, Evan said stiffly. You never drink strong tea at group dinners, and you never eat chocolate. The more he spoke, the more indignant he seemed to get. So even if you were going to marry someone, you should at least find a guy who knows you as well as I do, right? He said that, but I couldn't help feeling like the emphasis was on the words as well as I do. Just then, Christina returned with a mug of milk, clinging to me affectionately. Lucy, can we go shopping this afternoon? I want to get matching couples outfits with you. I nearly choked on my milk. Evan clicked his tongue. Don't use that word. You mean matching bestie outfits. Christina ignored him and kept her arm linked with mine. Lucy, let's go to the hot springs tonight. We can wash each other's, oof. I quickly covered her mouth. I'm allergic to hot water too, Christina, how about swimming? Me, I can't swim to save my life. Christina, a spa day? Me, I'm super ticklish. Christina, not giving up, what about a Thai masa, ow. Evan flicked her on the forehead, his face dark. Can't you think of a single activity that involves keeping your clothes on? In the end, I used meeting a client as an excuse and escaped with Evan. Evan had a dazed look in his eyes, clearly still in shock over his straight as an arrow sister suddenly being into girls. After a while, he let out a slow breath and clenched his fist. It's fine. So what if she likes girls? It's no big deal. I sucked on my popsicle and gave him a sympathetic look. There's no one else around. You can cry if you want to. That's when Evan finally broke. When did she start liking girls? And even if she does, why did it have to be you? I was offended. What's wrong with me? Am I that bad of a choice? No, Evan said, rubbing his temples. That's not what I meant. He paused, then suddenly looked at me. Lucy, you don't like girls, do you? I blinked. Nope. Evan finally let out a sigh of relief, then his gaze shifted to something in the distance. They're selling sweet rice cakes. I followed his gaze and was surprised to see a familiar-looking street cart. There used to be a cart just like it outside our high school. They sold red bean rice cakes for $2 a piece, and they tasted amazing, just like the ones my mom used to make. That was right after my parents had divorced. My mom had moved out of state and wouldn't be back for a long time, so those rice cakes were one of my few comforts. I remember it was a snowy Friday. I'd been looking forward to buying a rice cake after school all day, but I didn't recite a passage correctly in class and my teacher chewed me out and made me copy it 10 times. By the time I got out, it was pitch black. The school entrance was empty, the rice cake cart was long gone. Standing there in the freezing cold with nothing, looking at the empty spot where the cart used to be, I just burst into tears. That's when Evan showed up. He pulled a still warm rice cake from his pocket and pressed it into my hand, looking a bit awkward and shy. Here, have this. Stop crying. I did forget to cry. I just stared at him. The rice cake was warm, and his hand was cold, but the moment it touched mine, it seemed to warm up too. That winter night, Evan and I shared that little red bean rice cake. For many years after, I never forgot its warmth. Evan walked over, bought a rice cake, and held it out to me. Still like these? I expertly twisted the plastic wrap, splitting the cake in two. Of course. When I like something, I stick with it. Evan took his half, glancing from the cake to me, and then suddenly smiled. Me too. His smile was so bright and gentle that it made my head spin. I instinctively asked, "What?" But Evan didn't answer, just shaking his head. Our high school reunion is next week. Want to go together? I didn't have any other plans, so I agreed. We quickly finished the small rice cake, and Evan drove me home. On the way, I debated with myself for a long time before finally asking cautiously, "So, what do you think about this whole situation? You don't still think your dad and sister's sudden change of heart is normal, do you?" Evan froze for a second, about to say something, but his phone rang. It was a work call. I listened quietly and eventually drifted off to sleep. When I woke up, the car was already parked. I stared at the huge mansion in front of me, dumbfounded. "Where did you take me?" Just then, the car door was pulled open. Caught off guard, I nearly fell out, but Evan caught me in time, pulling me into a hug. "Sorry," he said, also startled. His hand on my waist held me tight. "I didn't realize you were leaning against the door." My hands were on his shoulders, and when I looked up, I could see his long eyelashes. My face flushed. It's fine." He smelled faintly of mint and cigarettes. It wasn't unpleasant. I subconsciously took a small sniff, then felt like a creep and scrambled out of his arms. "Where did you bring me?" "My place," Evan said with a smile, reaching out to smooth my hair. "My housekeeper is making seafood tonight." "You like crab, right?" I panicked. If his dad was here, I'd be personally responsible for wrecking his family. As if sensing my thoughts, Evan put a hand on my shoulder. "Don't worry, this is my own house. And my parents went back to our old." Before he could finish, the front door opened from the inside. Evan and I both turned and found ourselves looking at an elegant, poised woman. "Mom?" Evan was surprised. "What are you doing here? Where's Dad?" Mrs. Brown looked at me first, smiling warmly. "Your father went back to the family estate. I came to check on you." "And who is this?" Evan cleared his throat, his cheeks inexplicably turning a little red. This is Lucy." "Lucy," Mrs. Brown's smile widened as she walked over to get a better look at me. I felt a bit shy under her gaze. "Mrs. Brown, you." "Mom." A familiar voice came from behind me. I felt a weight on my shoulder, and when I turned, I was face to face with Christina's beautiful face. She leaned in, hugging me affectionately, and smiled. "Oh, everyone's here. Perfect. I have an announcement to make." I knew instantly what she was going to say. I tried to cover her mouth, but it was too late. Christina put her hands on her hips and declared loudly, "I, Christina Grant, am now officially pursuing Lucy. Those with money, give money. Those with strength, give strength. Help me succeed." I thought I was going to faint. But it didn't end there. A moment later, I heard Mrs. Brown ask in a completely bewildered tone, "You're pursuing her? Not your brother? Wait, which one of you likes Lucy?" That question stumped me, too. Beside me, Evan's lips were pressed together, his cheeks turning red at an alarming rate. Christina, with her arms still around my waist, blinked. "My brother? Who cares if he likes her? I'm the one who I do." A soft, husky voice cut through the air. The yard fell silent. I stared at the beet-red Evan, so shocked I forgot to breathe. "I like Lucy," Evan said, letting out a soft breath. He removed Christina's arm from around me, pulled me to his side, and looked at his mother. "I've liked Lucy for a long time." "Mom, didn't you know?" "Why, your mom knew." I could only repeat his words, stunned. Mrs. Brown was already beaming. Evan hugged me from behind, his voice soft. "The whole world knew. Except you, you idiot." I felt like I was going to suffocate. I couldn't hear a word of what Christina was yelling about nearby. The only thing echoing in my mind was Evan saying he liked me. You like me? I couldn't believe it. Hearing the shock in my voice, Evan gently turned me around to face him. When our eyes met, he looked amused. What's with that expression? What else could it be but shock and pure joy? You should be happy too, Evan Brown. You don't have to change your name to Kevin. Lucy. A hand shook my arm, bringing me back to reality. I saw Christina's pitiful face. Lucy, you can't just abandon me. We've kissed. I nearly choked on my spit and waved my hands frantically. That wasn't. Before I could finish, Evan's cold laugh cut me off. A peck on the cheek is nothing to brag about. He then leaned down and gave me a light peck on the lips, lifting his chin with a bright red face. This is what you call a kiss, understand? Is this really the time for a competition? Flushed, I didn't know what to say. Mrs. Brown was already smiling and pulling me into the house, leaving the two siblings to bicker like elementary schoolers outside. It's so nice to finally meet you properly, Lucy, Mrs. Brown said. I was surprised. You really knew about me? Mrs. Brown looked like she wanted to say something, but in the end, she just patted my hand. Let's save that story for Evan to tell you. It'll be good for you two lovebirds to bond. I scratched my chin, feeling a little embarrassed at the word lovebirds. Dinner was still a while away, so Mrs. Brown told me to go up to Evan's room while she went downstairs to help with the preparations. Evan's room was decorated in warm tones with minimal decor. The most striking thing was a bouquet of crocheted roses on his nightstand. I stared at the slightly faded handmade flowers, a sour feeling rising in my chest. If I remembered correctly, that was the gift our high school's prom queen gave Evan when she confessed her feelings to him. The reason I remembered so clearly was because I was there that day. To be precise, I had also planned to confess to Evan that day, with a bouquet of my own crocheted flowers. But the prom queen was faster. She stood before Evan with her gift, her heart on her sleeve. And I hid in a corner, a witness to their budding romance, the loser in a one-sided crush. The fact that Evan still kept these flowers meant he probably hadn't forgotten her. But I thought Maya mentioned that the prom queen had just gotten married recently. The thought gave me pause. What are you looking at? The door opened, and Evan walked in. I felt him approach, step by step, until he wrapped his arms around me from behind, his warm breath tickling my forehead. I snapped out of it, the tips of my ears burning again. Nothing. Evan must have sensed my discomfort because his arms loosened slightly. He whispered, everything I said earlier, I meant it. Lucy, I really do like you. I have for a long time. A long time? How long could that be? It definitely couldn't be as long as I've liked him. But he liked me now, and that was enough. I smiled at the thought and turned to face him. I know. Evan met my gaze, his eyes swirling with a hot, fierce emotion. Do you really? I didn't quite grasp the depth in his eyes at that moment. When I looked again, it was gone, replaced by a gentle warmth. He stared at me for a few seconds before asking hoarsely, "Can I kiss you?" My heart pounded in my chest. I mumbled, "You already did." The moment the words left my mouth, warmth pressed against my lips, completely different from the light peck before. My eyes flew open, feeling Evan's heat and the frantic beat of his heart. That last one was too restrained. Evan's eyes burned as he spoke, his lips brushing against mine with each word. Lucy, I've been holding back for too many years. Now that you've said yes, I don't want to hold back anymore. After dinner, Evan drove me home. I sat in the car rubbing my face, feeling like the whole thing was a dream. My mom packed you some seafood, Evan said as he got in the car. She specifically told me to give it to you. I felt a bit embarrassed. I didn't bring anything for your mom when I met her today. Evan was calm. There will be plenty of time for that in the future. I couldn't argue with that. By the way, what did you say to Christina? She was acting so normal during dinner. She wasn't clingy or trying to hug me at all. In fact, she was very graceful and kept her distance. Evan was puzzled too. I didn't really say anything. Before we went upstairs, she was ready to challenge me to a duel. I couldn't help but laugh. You two are kind of cute. Evan leaned over and pinched my cheek. You're only allowed to call one of us cute. Oh, I said, deliberately teasing him. Christina's cute. Evan shot me a sidelong glance. And me? I lunged forward and squished his cheeks. You're lovable. Evan pulled me into his arms and looked down at me, a smile in his eyes. Really? I played dumb. What? His hand cradled the back of my head as he teased me with light kisses. Do you love me? I didn't answer right away. Evan stroked my hair, his voice soft but full of certainty. Lucy, you like me, don't you? I couldn't help but smile. Would I let you kiss me if I didn't? Evan smiled too, teasing me back. Yeah. If you didn't like me, why would your username be Melody? My eyes went wide. Holy crap. I knew it was obvious. And Maya said it wasn't. Evan laughed, letting out a soft breath, as if a great weight had been lifted. It was finally settled. I'm so glad you like me. A few days later, Evan picked me up for the high school reunion as planned. On the way, I brought up the strange behavior of his dad and sister again. After much hesitation, I decided that since we were together, we might as well be honest and see if we could find a solution. After hearing the whole story about the Kevin magic, Evan looked stunned, clearly not believing a word. How else do you explain Christina suddenly liking me? I said seriously. I'd barely ever met her before. She had no reason to fall for me. It couldn't have been love at first sight, right? Evan frowned, about to say something, when a sudden impact from behind jolted the car forward. Luckily, Evan reacted quickly, slowing down and braking. The first thing he did after stopping was turn to me. Are you okay? I shook my head and looked at the car behind us. Did we get rear-ended? Evan's expression darkened. He unbuckled his seatbelt and got out, but froze when he saw the other car's license plate. Dad? Oh, for the love of. I was about to get out, but as soon as I heard that, I slammed the door shut. Evan talked with him for a few minutes, then came back to the car. Seeing me hiding like a quail, he chuckled. What are you doing? I said, very seriously, I'm afraid your dad will fall in love with me. Evan's smile vanished. He gestured for me to stay down, then got out and locked the car doors. About 10 minutes later, Evan returned. Is it all taken care of? I asked. Yeah, Evan replied, starting the car. The brakes on my dad's car are a little faulty. We took pictures, insurance will handle it. I nodded, about to ask something else, when someone knocked on the passenger side window. It was Evan's dad. Only a thin layer of glass separated us. I didn't dare to even breathe. Evan's expression tensed. He opened his door and got out. What is it, Dad? His dad, whose name was now officially Kevin Brown, glanced at the passenger seat again before speaking. It's your car, so you have to wait for the insurance adjusters. Evan paused, his hand tightening on the door handle. Does it matter? They can just call me if they need anything. Kevin Brown shrugged. This is a Maybach. The insurance is in the 7 figures. The owner has to be present. He glanced in my direction again, a knowing look on his face. Do you need to drop your friend off? I can have someone take her. Just as Kevin Brown reached for the car door, my heart leaped into my throat. Evan stepped in front of him, blocking the passenger door, his expression tense. Dad, let me ask you a question first. And I need you to answer honestly. Kevin Brown looked confused. What? Evan took a deep breath. Do you still love Mom? What the hell? Sitting in the passenger seat, I was just as nervous. When Kevin Brown fell silent, I got even more nervous. You can't be serious, old man. You haven't even seen my face. After a few seconds of silence, Kevin Brown smacked Evan upside the head. What kind of nonsense are you thinking about all day? Evan was speechless, but he didn't dare let me face his dad, so he just stood there taking it, looking wronged. Kevin Brown was fuming. You're questioning my feelings for your mother? Have you dealt with your own stuff yet? I heard that prom queen you were hung up on for so long finally got married. Maybe now you can finally move on. At those words, both Evan and I froze. Dad! What are you talking about? Evan sounded annoyed. What do you mean, what am I talking about? Kevin Brown said, feeling wronged himself. Haven't you been keeping those flowers she gave you all this time? Sitting in the car, listening to the father-son battle, I was filled with a mix of emotions. To be honest, I couldn't even clearly remember what the prom queen looked like anymore. But in that moment, the memories came flooding back. I felt like I was back at that confession scene, watching Evan and the prom queen gaze into each other's eyes, watching my own secret crush come to a dead end. So when Evan said he'd liked me for a long time, how long was that, exactly? Since the prom queen got married until now? But the way Evan looked at me didn't seem like a fleeting whim. A wave of suppressed frustration and confusion washed over me. I let out a slow breath, a million thoughts racing through my mind, good, bad, optimistic, pessimistic, even selfish, possessive thoughts. As my thoughts swirled, my phone rang. It was Maya, and her voice sounded strange. Lucy, do you think our superpowers stopped working? I paused. Huh? Maya clicked her tongue. I just ran into Christina. She was out shopping with a guy. I was speechless. What's so weird about that? Just because she likes me doesn't mean she can't go shopping with other people. Maya was even more speechless. Is it also normal for her to be making out with him in the middle of the street? I froze. Huh? Christina was making out with a guy? Doesn't that mean, first, she doesn't like girls anymore, and second, she doesn't like me anymore? And by extension, doesn't that mean the Kevin magic has worn off? With that thought, I glanced at the father and son still arguing outside, a plan forming in my mind. Just then, Evan threw out a wait till mom deals with you, and started walking back to the car. In the brief moment he stepped aside, I threw open the car door and came face to face with Kevin Brown, who was standing there with his arms crossed, fuming. Time seemed to stand still. Evan froze for a second, his expression changing drastically. He pushed my shoulders, trying to shove me back into the car. Lucy! Get back! Don't come out. He pushed me so hard I ended up sitting on the passenger seat, my arm getting jammed in the process. Hey, what are you doing? Kevin Brown, after a second of shock, rushed over to help me. That's no way to treat a young lady. Don't come over here. Evan was clearly on edge. He stood in front of me, using his body to block Kevin Brown's view, shielding me completely. His reaction startled me. I looked up to say something but froze. Evan was trembling slightly. He looked down at me, his eyes dark and deep, like silent, sharp hooks. Why did you come out? He asked softly, staring at me. Isn't my love enough for you? I noticed his clenched jaw and rigid back. I instinctively reached up to touch his chin, trying to get him to relax. No, that's not it. I just wanted to test. My words were like a spark about to ignite a ticking time bomb. Evan's hands, braced on either side of me, tightened, as if clutching a lifeline. Just as he was about to speak, Kevin Brown slapped him on the back of the head. What are you doing standing there, kid? Take your romance home. Have you no shame, doing this on the street? The slap seemed to daze Evan, who instinctively tried to cover my face. Kevin Brown was confused. What's wrong with you? Ashamed of your girlfriend? But she looks perfectly nice. What are you hiding her for? At that, Evan stopped, looking from me to his dad and back again. After a few seconds of silence, Evan asked cautiously, "Dad, do you feel a sudden urge to fall in love with Lucy?" On the way to the reunion, Evan kept sneaking glances at himself in the rearview mirror, checking the red mark on his forehead where his dad had smacked him. He had a serious case of vanity. Kevin Brown sat in the back, chatting with me. I answered all his questions politely. After we dropped Kevin Brown off at his company, Evan motioned for me to move. "Come sit in the front." I obediently moved to the passenger seat and tilted my head at him. "Still mad?" "Not mad," Evan said, shaking his head and taking my hand. "Scared." "Scared of what would have happened if the magic hadn't worn off and my dad had really fallen for you?" I didn't want to think about it. The thought sent shivers down my spine. I quickly changed the subject. "Well, you may not be mad, but I am." Evan clearly knew what I was mad about. He leaned over to buckle my seatbelt and stole a quick kiss on the corner of my mouth. "Don't be mad. My dad was just talking nonsense, he doesn't know the full story." "Really?" I crossed my arms and huffed. "But that bouquet of flowers in your bedroom isn't fake, is it? Keeping it for all these years after you and the prom queen broke up, you really must be hung up on her." Evan burst out laughing and ruffled my hair. "You. I call you an idiot and you get mad." I frowned and slapped his hand away. "What are you talking about?" Evan pulled his hand back and started the car. "Let's go eat first." How can he think about food at a time like this? I turned my head away in a huff and ignored him. The car drove through the night and soon arrived at the restaurant. The private room was on the 9th floor. I refused to speak to Evan the whole way. When we got out of the elevator, I stormed ahead, but then I noticed something strange. Why was it so quiet? The entire 9th floor was dimly lit, with no waiters in sight. The long hallway was completely empty. Evan followed behind me at a leisurely pace. When he saw me turn around, he raised an eyebrow. That's when I noticed how handsome he looked today, so sharp and formal. The last time I saw him dressed like this was probably at a shareholder meeting. I was about to say something, but just as I opened my mouth, I heard a sound from outside the window. I instinctively turned and saw a huge, brilliant, dazzling firework explode in front of my eyes. It was so bright, so dreamlike. I've imagined confessing to you so many times. Under the fireworks-filled sky, Evan had somehow appeared beside me, holding a vibrant bouquet of flowers. He looked at me, his eyes swirling with an indescribable emotion. I thought about the setting, the words, every single detail. But plans never go as expected. I ended up just telling you I liked you at my front door with nothing. But I didn't think that was enough. He handed me the bouquet. As it got closer, I realized the flowers were also crocheted, but they were so realistic they looked like real roses. When I was 18, I received the first bouquet of my life. It was beautiful, thoughtful, and one of a kind. Evan looked up at me and said, word for word, "Lucy, you probably never knew this, but the bouquet I received was from you." "From me?" I was confused. "Didn't you accept the flowers the prom queen gave you when she confessed?" Evan pressed his lips together. "I didn't accept her confession. And I saw you standing in the corner. I was going to chase after you then, but you ran too fast." Evan shook his head with a helpless smile. "I was a step too slow. I didn't catch you, and I let you misunderstand for all these years." That day, Evan had rejected the prom queen's confession, but he hadn't managed to catch up with the person he liked. All he found was a discarded bouquet in the corner. Two nearly identical bouquets, each carrying its own heartfelt message, but Evan only cared for one of them. "The bouquet you saw in my room was the one you left there," Evan said, his knuckles gently grazing my cheek, his voice a little hurt. "Lucy, not only did you not remember it, you even accused me of something else." I was completely floored. When we were in high school, crocheting was all the rage. Everyone was doing it. My bouquet and the prom queen's probably looked very similar. We both chose red roses for our confessions. Who would have thought that years later, I wouldn't even recognize my own work. It's okay if you don't recognize that old bouquet, Evan said, placing the flowers he was holding into my hands. His gaze was earnest and gentle as he looked down at me. Just remember this one. I was speechless, dumbly accepting the flowers and staring at him. I crocheted this one myself. It took a lot of practice, and there might still be some imperfections. Please don't mind them. Evan took my hand, holding both me and the flowers securely. Lucy, when I said I've liked you for a long time, I meant a very, very long time. The person my dad was talking about, the one I've been hung up on, is you. The person I've liked for so long is you. From that red bean rice cake in high school, until today, and into the future, I will always like you. Evan's dark eyes swirled with an intense, fiery emotion. His voice was serious, yet laced with a bright smile. So I'm so grateful that you accepted my feelings, and I'm so grateful that you like me too. Thank you for making my wish of so many years come true. I stared at him, feeling a delicate string named Evan Brown being plucked inside my heart. Every beat was connected to him. You know, when I first got this superpower, I actually wanted to change your name to Kevin. After a long moment, I finally found my voice. But I decided against it. Partly because your face doesn't really match the name Kevin, and partly because I didn't want to use a name to bind your choices and your future. To say something really cliché, I said, looking into Evan's eyes with a small smile. I love you, but you are free. Evan leaned down and pressed a soft kiss to my forehead. I don't want freedom. I want you to love me. I hummed in agreement, tilting my head up to find his lips, kissing him under the brilliant fireworks. You know I do. Why was it that people named Kevin would fall in love with me, and not that I would fall in love with someone named Kevin? Probably because even fate knew that the person I loved was named Evan Brown. I've loved him for a very long time. Epilogue. First day of high school. Found a fellow red bean rice cake enthusiast. She's so tiny, but she can really eat. Hey, are you going to get the last one? She asked, blinking at me. I quickly shook my head. I watched her pay and tear open the wrapper, but then, on a whim, I reached out. Can I have half? You're making me hungry. The tiny girl giggled, twisted the plastic wrap, and easily split the rice cake in two. Here, my treat. Red bean rice cakes are delicious. The tiny girl is adorable. High school is awesome. I love high school. Awesome my ass. Who likes school? My brain must have been replaced with rice cake mush. All we do is homework and study. The only relief is that one gym class a week. I saw the tiny girl again. So small, yet trying to reach something on the top shelf. Did she not see the 6 feet 2 inches me standing right next to her? As expected, the unexpected happened. The moment the rack started to fall, I instinctively lunged forward and shielded the tiny girl with my body. My arm hurt so much. Are you okay? The tiny girl's eyes were red. She tried to push the rack off me but couldn't, so she just screamed for help, not forgetting to wipe the sweat from my face. I'll get a teacher. Hang in there, someone will be here soon. I stared dumbly as her mouth moved, not hearing a single word she said. She smells so good. Sweet and soft, like a red bean rice cake. Something's wrong. Something is very wrong with me. After the tiny girl's 10,086th visit, I started to think seriously. Why am I so happy to see her? Why doesn't my arm hurt at all anymore? Why does my heart always beat so fast? Christina said, "Bro, you're screwed. You're falling in love." I put a hand on my chest. My heart was pounding. In love? I've fallen for the tiny girl just like that. Am I that shallow? We've barely known each other. After a lot of thought, I finally decided. Who cares? Love is irrational. The main reason was seeing the tiny girl cry. Winter. Heavy snow. An empty rice cake cart. She was crouched there all alone, looking like she had nothing left in the world. In that moment, I was so glad I had bought the last rice cake. So glad I had deliberately dawdled after school, walking slower and slower. Otherwise, she would have been crying all alone tonight. Lucy. I called her name and handed her the rice cake I'd been keeping warm for so long. Don't cry. I'll be here for you. Ugh, someone confessed to me at the graduation ceremony. It wasn't Lucy. But Lucy saw it. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I chased after her but couldn't catch up. Lucy, are you a track star? She blocked my number. The tiny girl must be heartbroken. It's okay, I can still see her at the official graduation in July. I'll confess to her then. With a bouquet of crocheted flowers, too. This crocheting thing is so hard. Christina said my work looks like crap. I'm going to kill her. Finally finished. A big, beautiful bouquet. Christina and my mom commented that it no longer looks like crap. Now it looks like a seashell. They have no taste. Time to confess. So nervous, so nervous, so nervous. Lucy didn't come to the graduation ceremony. Why didn't she come? I wanted to tell you I've liked you for a long time. Thank God. Lucy and I got into the same university. This is what they call having a home field advantage. You've got to be kidding me. The foreign languages department and the civil engineering department are so far apart. Where did they put me? Different campuses? It's fine, it's fine. 2 campuses, only a 3-hour bus ride apart. QAQ. It's just a long-distance relationship. I have to go abroad. I don't want to go, not at all. But my mom said the family has raised me for so long, and I have to take on my responsibilities. Christina also said, do you want to give Lucy a handsome CEO in a few years, or a useless rich kid? Lucy has always looked up to me. I can't be a useless rich kid. I'm just sad I can't confess. Christina asked why. Long-distance relationships can work. I shook my head. A relationship isn't just about saying I like you. It's about being responsible for each other, about being each other's support. But how can I be her support from across the ocean? If something like that snowy night happened again, not only would I be unable to give her a red bean rice cake, I would also be an obstacle preventing her from finding warmth and companionship from someone else. Evan Brown, you can't be that selfish. On my 19th birthday, my plane took off. Before takeoff, I made a wish that Lucy wouldn't date anyone else. On second thought, it's fine if Lucy dates someone. But it has to be someone who likes her even more than I do. School is so annoying. I've hated school my whole life. But to get back home sooner, I have to study. Lucy unblocked me. I just found out. Wait a second, her username, Melody. Her last name is Brown. A melody is a song. The Brown is me. She definitely loves me. Then I have to be more proactive. But what should I send? I scrolled through my notes, so many things I wanted to share with her. Good food, fun places, interesting things, boring things. I scrolled for a long time, afraid that anything I said would be awkward. Deep breath. Let's just start with going to the docks to get some fries. I'm back, I'm back, I'm back. Taking over the company. Being called Mr. Brown feels so good. Holy crap, Lucy is applying for a job here? Let me see what position. HR assistant? Why be an HR assistant? Come be my assistant. Wait, why is she quitting when things are going so well? I haven't even finished crocheting the flowers. I asked, very seriously and confused, what exactly happened? Lucy, also very seriously, replied, your dad might be about to fall in love with me. What the hell? You're not playing fair, old man. Stealing your son's girl? Wait, magic? What magic? Holy crap, Christina, get off of Lucy. She kissed her. Lucy loves me. She loves me. Magic? What stupid magic? It's no match for the fact that she loves me and I love her and we're going to be so happy together. Why do you think the magic wore off? I asked her later, under the fireworks. Lucy was in my arms, still a tiny girl, so soft, so cute. Maybe because we finally understood each other's feelings? She guessed. Maybe because two people in love didn't miss their chance. Then it was a good magic. I don't really believe in it, but if magic really exists in this world, then please bless Lucy and me to be in love for all of eternity. Thank you. Holy crap, why does my dad's driver's license say Kevin Brown? So he really was bewitched by the magic and went to change his name? Magic is real? Huh. Magic, oh magic, please let Evan Brown and Lucy be in love forever.